You know, when I first saw the preview for this week's episode, last week, when last week's episode ended, I noticed that they had decided to use a very specific and special type of animation for this episode. And I thought to myself, why are they using this very special type of animation for this week's episode? Because I read the chapter, obviously. I knew what was going to happen, and not a lot really registered to me, uh, and I guess I needed this episode as a reminder about how truly special this content, this chapter actually was. And boy, did it deliver. At one point, I was like, "Shit, I need to pause it real quick. Gonna go get my tissues." It really is a stunning episode of the Naruto anime. In fact, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Last time I felt this emotional watching a Naruto episode was when Kushina died, when she said those last words to Naruto, which kind of makes sense because this episode kind of parallels that talk, except this time it's Naruto going through that same speech and updating Minato on how he's lived his life. So I think it's really cool that both scenes kind of mirror each other in that regard. And Minato's role is very passive in both scenes. In the first scene when he's dying, Kushina pretty much takes up all their time, and she even apologizes for it. She's like, "Minato, I'm sorry. I just had so many things that I need to say." And then Minato just like says, "Well, I second everything that your mom said." And in this case, he basically just hears Naruto out, and he's like, "Don't worry, I'll tell Kushina everything." So there's a lot of really strong emotional cues in this episode, and the episode itself kind of preps you for it. It kind of like guides you through these emotional beats gradually, starting off with Kakashi and Obito's goodbye. Kakashi loses his Sharingan. He even says, as of this moment, moving forward, there's no more Kakashi of the Sharingan. So that's an emotional moment. Obito goes to see Rin. They part ways, and they say goodbye as friends. Then the next emotional beat is the Madara Hashirama goodbye, which I love how Sasuke is about to go over to Madara. And then Hagoromo pulls a Gandalf. He's like, "Oh, you shall not pass to see this bromance moment, my boy. It's been years in the making. Let them have their goodbye. So back the fuck off, Sasuke. You already have Naruto." And it really is a very strong moment of reconciliation between two friends. The founders of what we consider to be the shinobi world and the world of Naruto. And it's a very important moment for Madara because it begins to heal him. That bitterness, that cynicism that he was holding on to for the longest time, it begins to dissipate or just evaporate gradually as Hashirama pretty much convinces him or talks to him as if he were an equal, as a brother in arms, as it were. And so part of that process is Hashirama pretty much acknowledging, "Hey man, I fucked up too. Like, I made a mistake. We both made a mistake. We thought that we were the top guys that were going to change things for everyone, when in fact we should have focused our attention in the new generations and try to cultivate that spirit of hope and optimism and that yearning for peace." And we didn't do that. We just started fighting, and we became leaders, and we had power, and we tried to do our best, but we fucked up. And Madara's like, "Well, if that's the case, then I would have fucked it up anyway, because I hate people following me. I hate people when I feel like somebody's below me. I probably wouldn't have been a good person to teach people that the things that you're saying right now." So just the mere fact that Madara, by the end, acknowledged that he was a flawed individual, that he had his flaws like everybody else, and the fact that he says, maybe being optimistic, that would have been a better way of doing things, that is humongous, incredible character growth for Madara. I mean, granted, he's about to die, so everything just comes. You start seeing everything in perspective during those final moments, but it's like, holy shit! I mean, he really did get it by the end. He really did understand that there's no such thing as like just one person bringing up change or doing things for everybody. Because even Naruto couldn't do it alone, and it's brought up in this very same episode when he talks to Black Zetsu, when Black Zetsu calls him, "You're a piece of history that I created for my own convenience." And Naruto's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? That history that you're talking about consists of people, real living, loving people that tried their best to teach me what's really valuable in life. And you're talking about characters like Neji, Haku, Sabusa, Obito, the third Hokage, Itachi, just, these people that leave a mark, Kushina. And then I thought it was epic when he just tells them, like, you're just a little bird that's afraid to leave the nest. When in fact, it's basically, that was like Naruto's struggle, that he really didn't have a nest to leave. He didn't have parents, but then by the end he overcame that. Whereas this piece of shit Black Zetsu is just a coward that can't do anything without his mommy. I really did love that scene, and I think part of what makes this scene and the Minato scene so epic and so great, and just, it cuts through you like a knife, especially the Minato one, at least that's what it did for me, is the music. The amazing use of the music and the animation, the way it feels, it just makes you feel like, yeah, these people are moving on. Like, their story is ended, and now it's up to the living to continue their legacy. And then the whole speech that Naruto gives Minato, he starts hitting every mark, about eating healthy, paying attention in class, respecting your elders, the 3 vices, that he learned about with Jiraiya. And then he hits the mark about the girl, about, like, his mom wanting him to find a girl like her. And I believe that's when he starts tearing up, which makes sense, because it's like, that's the one thing I think, aside from becoming Hokage, it's like the one thing that, his mom wanted him to accomplish that he really hasn't gotten to yet. And so I thought about it as he was crying, because he does say, I haven't been able to accomplish everything that mom wanted for me, but I've been doing my best. And I thought to myself, imagine how many people watching this episode feel the exact same way about finding a partner, right? Yet at the same time, like, if you know how the story ends and you know what happens in the last, this scene is really a scene of hope, really, because there is no fucking way that if you're listening to this scene, you're not thinking of Hinata to some extent, because it's your mind has to make that connection at a certain point during his speech, to the point where I even started questioning, like, I wonder why Kishimoto didn't incorporate Hinata in some form during this scene in the manga, right? And then I thought about it, and it's because it's not really about Hinata. It really isn't. This scene is about a guy that grew up without a parent saying, this is what I've done with my life. I hope you can be proud of me. Goodbye, farewell, take care of mom, and I'll catch you later. That's what this scene is about. And, it's just such a powerful scene, so that any additional stuff, it would just kind of like fuck up the moment for me. I like the presence of the previous Kages there as well as ghosts. Although I will say I'm not really sure how Minato was able to perform the summoning jutsu without having any arms. And even when, like, his physical body just dissipates, his ghost still has no arms. I thought that was a little funny. But other than that, the animation was great. Kaguya is now sealed. It's a super nostalgic moment if you're a Naruto fan. Like, even the lighting in the episode, when you see the sun come up, it looked fucking amazing. They really took care of the quality of this episode, to the point where I can even say, unapologetically, this episode was definitely better than the manga. Like, it just, point blank, it's definitely one of those episodes that just overruns the manga. It's great. They added new animation to the opening, as you probably saw it. Mostly Naruto and Sasuke based. They show the parallels of them growing up together as kids, them being lonely, and then they gradually get older, and then they foreshadow the fight at the valley at the end. Different fights, different confrontations throughout the series, leading up to the confrontation at the valley at the end, which is, I think that's the title for next week, right? The final valley or something like that. So there's this one scene though that really hit me, when Sasuke just looks like he's dead inside, just completely apathetic, about to kill his friend, and Naruto starts tearing up. It's kind of ironic in a way, because he was literally just talking to his dad about the fact that he was able to make friends, and that he considered most of those friends to be good people or good guys. And then you have that scene in the opening, and you're like, shit. Not yet, Naruto, not yet. Almost, but not yet. You still have that extra sprint to get to the finish line. One of them is a friend, and then the other one's a girl. But once you cross that finish line, man, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did. I appreciate it. As always, Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Comment down below. Did you cry? If so, how much or how little did you cry? And what got you the most? Thanks. Bye.